안녕하세요. 하나하나 한국어입니다. Today we're going to study Sogang Korean 1B, Chapter 3. 요즘 어떻게 지내세요? Which means, how are you doing recently? How is everything recently? In this chapter, we are practicing honorific forms. So if you're not familiar with honorific forms of Korean language, please watch my another video where I explained the whole overview structure of honorific system of Korean language, and get used to it. Repeat many times. And then as well, we're going to practice 3 different dialogues and reading and listening. 자, first grammar point, honorific form, the present tense. Present tense, honorific form. 자, 어떻게 만들어요? How do we make it? We need the stem of verb, isn't it? Stem plus 의시 plus sentence ending, 아요 or 아요 or 어요. Let me put it all together. 해요. 자, when the stem ends with the consonant, 의심할해요. So 받침 있어요? 의심할해요. 받침 없어요? So the stem ends with vowel. 그러면 시말해요. 자, let's practice with some verbs. For example, 자, first of all, 자, 우리 가다 합시다. 가다. 자, get rid of 다. We need stem only. 그리고 stem doesn't have any 받침, isn't it? 받침 없어요. 시 말해요. 그리고 어요 말해요. 그래서 it becomes 가셔요 됩니다. How about 좋다. 자, something is good. 자, get rid of 다. 그리고 받침 있어요. So 우리 의심할해요. And then sentence ending. So it becomes 좋으셔요. Done? 자, as I said last time, National Korean Language Institute declare that we can use 가세요, 좋으세요 instead of 쉬어요, to facilitate our pronunciation, because this is easier. Okay, so let's stick to this 세요 ending instead of this 쉬어요 ending. Done? 그러면 how about formal ending? 자, we used informal polite ending here. How about the formal ending? 어떻게 말합니까? Instead of 해요, you can change it to 읍니다. Both. This is formal. 자, 그러면 가세요 in the formal ending 어떻게 말해요? 가십니다. So instead of 어요, we need 읍니다. 그래서 가십니다. How about 좋으세요? 좋으십니다. Why? Because instead of 어요, we need 읍니다. 좋으십니다. Done? These are formal. I also have to emphasize that honorific form is not formal ending. Formal ending makes it formal. It doesn't make it any more polite. If you want to be polite, if you want to show your respect, you need to use honorific form, okay? So formal sentence ending you use in a formal setting. For example, during the interview to talk to the CEO of your company, formal setting. So environment defines the sentence ending. However, regardless of the setting of the environment, if you talk to older people or if you talk to the people who are higher than you in a hierarchy, you need to use honorific form. Okay, so Honorific form is not formal. These are different concepts. Okay, let's practice the dialogue. 자, 제가 읽을게요. 한번 따라하세요. Repeat after me, everyone. 아버지가 테니스를 좋아하세요? 네, 테니스를 좋아하세요. So, let's see the verb first. 좋아하세요. Let me change the... 좋아하세요. 베이스 폼 뭡니까? 좋아하다죠. 좋아하다. And get rid of 다. 받침 없어요. she. And then sentence ending. 좋아하시어요. So, 좋아하셔요. And instead of 셔요, let's stick to 세요. So, 좋아하세요. Why did he choose to use the honorific form? Because the subject of the sentence needs respect. Someone else's father, isn't it? So, does your father like tennis? Does your father like tennis? Shall we compare with the sentence with a different subject? 자, for example, does your friend like tennis? 어떻게 말해요? Does your friend like tennis? 친구가 테니스를 좋아해요? 말해요, isn't it? 친구가 테니스를 좋아해요? Absolutely fine. 그런데 when the subject becomes 아버지, especially someone else's father, 아버지, we definitely need to show the respect. So instead of 좋아해요, you have to say 좋아하세요. 자, 테니스를 자, so Andy says 아버지가 테니스를 좋아하세요. However, he showed about 80% of respect only because we need to change this, isn't it? Yes, so instead of 가, to be perfectly respectful, you have to say 아버지께서. We need different subject particle in honorific form. So 아버지께서 테니스를 좋아하세요? Perfectly polite. 자, so Mina says, 네, 테니스를 좋아하세요. Yes, he does. Let's practice now. There are two different practice activities, isn't it? Find the difference. 자, let me read. 아버지가 지금 뭐 하세요? 자, shall we be perfect? Instead of 아버지가, I'll say 아버지께서 지금 뭐 하세요? And she says 산책하세요. 자, in this case, they both used honorific form. Why? Because they're talking about someone else, 아버지, and he needs respect, isn't it? So he has to show the respect to the father, and she also has to respect her own father. 그래서 they both used honorific form. How about this case, practice 2? 선생님, 지금 뭐 하세요? She answers, 운동해요. What's the difference? In this case, she didn't use honorific form here. Why? What's the difference? She is talking about herself, isn't it? When you talk about yourself, you never use honorific form. That's the way to show the respect to the speaker or the listener. You don't use honorific form when you talk about yourself, when the subject is yourself. Okay? 자, 그러면 let's practice. Let's practice the first case. So, we stick to the subject 아버지. Okay? So, 아버지께서 지금 뭐 하세요? 산책하세요. Number 1 or is already given. 자, number 2 봅시다. If I ask, 아버지께서 지금 뭐 하세요? You can answer what? 신문을 읽으세요. 신문을 읽으세요. Done? If I ask, 아버지께서 지금 뭐 하세요? Number 3, 어떻게 말해요? If you say, 저녁을 먹으세요. 자, this is only half percent. This is only 50% correct, isn't it? Because as you can see here, asterisk means irregular. 자, 먹다 honorific form 뭡니까? 먹으세요 아니에요. 드시다입니다. 드시다 as a base form. 그러면 저녁을 드세요. 아버지께서 지금 뭐 하세요? 저녁을 드세요. Done? 자, 자다 as well. Number 4, 4번. 자다 as well. 이거 irregular 뭐예요? 주무시다입니다. 그쵸? 그래서 아버지께서 지금 뭐 하세요? You can say 주무세요. Done. Very good. 자, 그럼 this time let's talk about yourself. 선생님, 지금 뭐 하세요? And you don't use honorific form for yourself, isn't it? So she said, 운동해요. 자, hidden subject 뭡니까? 저는 or 제가, 나는 운동해요. 자, number 2. 선생님, 지금 뭐 하세요? 일본어를 배우다. To learn Japanese. 어떻게 말해요? 저는 일본어를 배워요. You don't use honorific form. 3번, number 3. 선생님, 지금 뭐 하세요? 학교에 있어요. You don't use honorific form. What does it mean? I am at school now. 4번. 선생님, 지금 뭐 하세요? I'm watching news. 어떻게 말해요? 뉴스를 봐요. Done? 자, the second grammar point 봅시다. 으셨어요 있어요. This is the past tense of the honorific form. 자, 어떻게 말해요? 자, obviously we need stem plus 으시 plus 엇 plus 어요. 자, when stem ends with the consonant, we need 으시. 자, when the stem ends with the vowel, we need she instead, isn't it? she, 엇, 어요. 자, 봅시다. So, you have to check whether the stem ends with consonant or vowel. 받침 있어요, 받침 없어요. You have to check which honorific particle comes. The second one you have to remember, honorific particle always comes first, and then tense particle. Okay? Honorific particle first, and then tense comes. For example, let's take an example. 아까 가다 했죠? 가다. Someone went in honorific form. 어떻게 말해요? 가다 plus she plus 엇 plus 어요. 그래서 get rid of 다, isn't it? 그래서 가셨어요. How about 좋다? 좋다. 좋다. 받침 있어요. 으시 말해요. And then tense. 그리고 sentence ending. Then 좋으셨어요. 좋으셨어요. 으시, she. And then sentence and tense, past tense. Someone was nice. 좋습니까? How about the formal ending? Formal ending 어떻게 말합니까? 습니다 말해요. Regardless. Because anyway, 받침 있어요. The previous syllable has the final consonant, so we need 습니다 in both ways. 그러면 가셨어요 in formal. This is informal. How about formal? 가셨습니다 말해요. 자, 좋으셨어요. This is informal. How about formal? 좋으셨습니다 말해요. done? 자, 우리 연습합시다. 다이얼로그 한번 갈까요? 따라하세요. Repeat after me, please. 아버지가 언제 테니스를 시작하셨어요? 10년 전에 시작하셨어요. What did he say? When did your father start playing tennis? When did your father start tennis? 시작하다 plus 시 plus 엇 plus 어요. So it becomes 시작하셨어요. Honorific form. Why did he use honorific form here? Because the subject of this sentence is someone's father. So he needs to show the respect. 자, and she answered, 10년 전에 시작하셨어요. When did he start? 10 years ago. 10 years ago he started. 좋습니다. Let's practice. This is the same one, isn't it? 자, this time instead of 아버지, he's talking about 어머니. 어머니가 어제 뭐 하셨어요? What did your mom do yesterday? Isn't it? What did your mom do yesterday? So she answered, 영화를 보셨어요. So as you can see here, they both used this honorific particle she somewhere in their verbs. Why? Because they're talking about 어머니. So in these two sentences, subject is 어머니. Someone who needs respect. Done. 자, to be perfectly polite. Where should we change? 자, 가 instead of 가, we have to say 께서. 어머니께서 어제 뭐 하셨어요? 영화를 보셨어요. Shall we practice? 자, number 1 is done already. Number 2. 어머니께서 어제 뭐 하셨어요? How would you say? 음악을 들으셨어요. 들으셨어요. This is irregular because of the verb conjugation itself, not because it uses random honorific form. 자, 3번 갑시다. 어머니께서 어제 뭐 하셨어요? Number 3. 베트남 음식을 먹다 있네요. 자, 먹다 is irregular honorific form, isn't it? 어떻게 말해요? 드시다 말해요. 그래서 어머니께서 어제 베트남 음식을 드셨어요. Done? 자, 4번, number 4. 어머니께서 어제 뭐 하셨어요? 커피 마시셨어요. If you said 커피 마시셨어요, you're only 50% correct. 자, 마시다, we also say 드시다. Okay? So in terms of honorific form, we don't distinguish to eat from to drink. 그래서 커피 드셨어요. Done. Very good. 자, let's go to practice 2. This time, find the difference. 선생님, 어제 전화하셨어요? Did you call me yesterday? And she says, 네, 전화했어요. So what's the difference? When he asks, he used the honorific form to show the respect to her. However, when she answers, she doesn't use honorific form. Why? Because she's talking about herself. The subject of this whole sentence is who? Herself, isn't it? So the hidden subject will be 제가 전화했어요. 네, 제가 전화했어요. Isn't it? In that case, you don't use honorific form for yourself. 자, 1번은 됐어요. 1번, number 1 is done. Number 2 갑시다. 테니스를 치다. 선생님, 어제 테니스를 치셨어요? Then you answer what? 네, 쳤어요. 쳤어요. So when you ask, you need this honorific form, but when you answer, you don't use honorific form. Done? 자, number 3 갑시다. 선생님, 어제 일찍 자셨어요? If you say 자셨어요, only 50% correct. Because we have this random honorific form, isn't it? 주무시다 있어요. 자, 그래서 how would you say, 선생님, 어제, yesterday, 일찍 주무셨어요? 자, and how would you answer? 어떻게 말해요? 네, 일찍 잤어요. Be careful. When you talk about yourself, you never use honorific form. 자, number 4 봅시다. Number 4. 선생님, 어제 완 씨한테 말하셨어요? Only 50% correct because 말하다 becomes 말씀하다. 말씀하다 있어요. 말 becomes 말씀, isn't it? 자, 그래서 완 씨한테 말씀하셨어요? And then when you answer, 네, 말했어요. 네, 말했어요. Be careful. Okay?